Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Intentional Guy. We are on air today with Sara Im. Sara is an author, a motivational speaker, uh, a lot on her genre that she does. And she has a book out called How I Survived the Killing Field. And I am so happy to have you on our show today, Sarah. I was able to look up a little bit on you and check it out. We're Me and my wife actually we're looking last night. We're ordering your book to read together, so I'm excited about getting that. But today, I don't want to take up all this time with me talking. I brought you on here, and I would love if you would share a little bit about your story and about the book with my listeners today.
Of course, I will be happy to. And thank you for having me on today. And I just want to give you a quick bite story about my life journey before I wrote the book. So I grew up in Cambodia in a small town. My parents are farmers, and we live in a beautiful setting surrounded by nature. And I was a firstborn child. As you can imagine, I feel love and secure. And
Right.
my parents believe in higher education, so they always encourage me to stay in school, keep up with school, and pursue your higher education. So that's what I was you know growing up with. And then when I reached the age of attending college, they they helped me to register for college in the capital city of Phnom Penh. Th- At that time, the the capital city was about almost 300 miles away from home, so I had to leave my parents and my family behind. So I went to college. While I was in the capital city, away from everybody, the communist Khmer Rouge took over our country, and at that time, when they came in a military style.
Mm.
They brought the truck, the tank, and their full military arm force that carry big guns and so on. So they march in the city, and the next day they pursue to evacuate people from the city. So they went door to door and pointing the gun at us and demanding that we leave everything behind. And we did. Now, it was a miserable time of our life, and we had to walk away from everything that we own without knowing where to go. And I I want to go back home so badly,
Right.
but they cut down the transportation. So I have no way to go home. And also the post office was shut down. So I could not write a letter, I could not make the phone call. So we were totally separate at that time, my family and I. We we did not know what happened to each other. That To make a long story short, I end up in the big forced labor camp.
Wow.
In this camp, I was pushed to work extremely hard in the very bad condition. We work about 15, 16 hours a day in the intense heat of the tropical sun, which is on the average about at least 100-degree Fahrenheit.
Mm.
So you with that condition, we don't have time to rest. They force us to work. They want us to work like 7 days a week. It's the must. We have to work. If we don't work, we don't get anything to eat. Talk about eat. they only feed us very little food, just rice and a very little something to go with the rice. So we are hungry all the time, and we were sleepy because we didn't have enough time to sleep. So with that situation, many of us start to get sick within the first couple months. Many of us got to get sick, and our sickness, I got my sickness like high fever, malaria, typhoid, all at the same time, and other other conditions. So I got sicker and sicker, but I still had to go to work. And then finally, when I cannot keep up with work anymore, they sent me to a place where the sick people stay. And when I got to that place, I realized that this is this is an infirmary. People come here waiting for their time to die because nobody is going to get better. There's nothing to help us to get better.
Wow.
So I don't know what to do. I need to get out from there because otherwise I will get more disease and I will die. But my mind was still thinking about my family, and I want to survive. I did not want to die. There are people who give up. They just give up. It's too hard, and but I did not want to give up. So when I search inside, so what can I do at this time? I realized, I remember that since a young age, I believe there is God.
Mm.
So I start to pray, asking God to help me to survive.
Wow.
I pray every night. I ask God, please help me to survive. All I want is just to survive at that time. So one morning when I woke up very early in the morning, I realized, oh, I feel a little, a little better today. So I decided to walk away from there. While the God did not pay too much attention to the sick people, so I got to walk away, and I went back to where the work people are staying. So one kind leader saw me come in, and she took me in her group, and she said, "You stay with me. I'll try to find something that you might be able to do." And she realized I'm too sick. So she talked to the people in the kitchen, and she told me that I can go and help out in the kitchen. So I was so happy that I get an opportunity to work, to help out in the kitchen. And I know I will survive because just the way that the work in the kitchen is not as hard as working in the rice field.
Right.
I get access to food. I work less hours. I work in the shade instead of the intense heat. So gradually, I start to feel better, and I shed off some of my disease. So eventually, I feel much better.
Wow.
But so I'll stop right here for a minute, and if you have any questions so far.
Well, what a great testament of hope. I mean, just I don't think a lot of our as Americans we understand what it means to be uh to be in that situation, turmoil like you were in. You know, we take for granted our freedoms that we have here and our basic needs and rights that we have here. So, I as I'm listening to this, one of the things maybe for some of our listeners who are young, can you explain what the killing fields are? What that
Yes,
meant?
yes. The killing field is the term that we gave when, after all this it's over, like 4 years that we endure. After 4 years, the Cambodia was completely destroyed. The infrastructure was destroyed. There's no more people able to work, to serve like it used to be, and a lot of people get killed. They even was taken away to be killed, or they die of starvation. And there were so many people die at the same time that they don't have enough time to bury one at a time. So they dig a big hole and throw people into to the big grave and
And how
bury
hard that
people.
must be to watch, to see, eh, and to experience. I mean, I can't even imagine what that would do to you psychologically, especially if you're in a vulnerable state, weak,
Yeah.
from nourishment, and but also just from the hard work and the tremendous heat and sun that you're doing. I don't think we can. It's hard for us to resonate what you must have gone through, and then to be able to pray and still have to be able to reach out to God and still have hope. That's tremendous to me. And I don't mean to take up more. I'd love to hear more about this, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, yeah. I would like to continue a little bit more.
Please,
Um,
please
and
do.
yeah, so they pull me back from the pull me from the kitchen and throw me back into the rice field. So here we go again. I
Mm,
My health start to decline again, and but I endure because now that I had a little bit extra energy from the recovery from the kitchen, but my mind is still strong about the possibility that one day I might be able to go and find my family. So that's all I want. And with that in mind, I endure for 4 years.
wow.
Toward the end of 4 years, they start to move the camp. So the camp is now brick and mortar and surrounded by barbed wire. No, it's very wide open, but we were surrounded by guard, like armed guard. They are ready to shoot at us anytime if we do something wrong. So that's the condition of the camp. So they start to move the camp. uh, every 2 weeks we packed up and move further, pack up and move further. And then I noticed that we are moving into the direction of the jungle. We are moving closer and closer to the jungle. And and I was so disappointed because we were near the main road. It's it's a very good position that I can run away. I can, if I have an energy, if I'm not fearful of the gun, but they watch us all the time, and I was now not able to run away. But when I know that they move us to the jungle, I realize it's the wrong direction for me.
Mm,
So I realize this is the time that I will take a risk. I will sacrifice my life. If I had to die at this time, it's better than just stay and doing nothing and follow them, because
right.
they will take me away from my dream. My dream is to go back home. So with that, God gave me the courage. It's God that gave me the courage to plan and escape.
Mm,
And I did not do it by myself. God provided. He encouraged me to reach out to three of my close friends and ask them to see if they are willing to go with me. All three of them say yes. So I feel more confident with my
right.
friends with me. And at that time, I was very frail. I was very weak again. But my with my friend, we went together. So we wait until nighttime, and we carefully watch out where to know where the gods stand, and how they got, how they look, and so on. So we just know a little bit about where, how are we going to go about. So finally, when the dark night come, it's completely dark. We just hold hand and walk away from there quietly, didn't make any noise, and we try to track back the path where we came from. This is all guessing. We have no GPS, no cell phone, or direction. It's all guessing. But I believe, now that I look back, I believe God directed our step because we didn't get lost in the jungle.
Mm,
For
wow.
for one whole night, we walked, almost ran, and we realized that we make it. We make it through. We make it out safely without being caught. If we ever get caught, there's no chance. No chance. We will get shot at immediately. But I trust that God has protected us and directed our path.
Wow.
So
And
eventually I was able to ask for direction when I see some people walking and ask for direction to go to my hometown. So
wow. What a great experience that to be able to once you realize that you're free from your captives. Uh, had you ever seen someone escape that was shot or had lost their life for trying to leave there before that?
I did not see, but I just reconnect with one other friend that came from the same camp, and she said that she ran away in maybe in the middle of the process, maybe about the second or the third year, she ran away because they forced her to marry somebody, and she didn't want it. So she ran away, but she escaped. She was free, but I did not see anybody got shot in front of me. But I noticed there are a lot of people who have been disappear from my eye, from
Mm.
my sight. You know, gradually we start out with 1,000 people in this camp, and at the end, we probably have about less than 300 people.
Oh, wow, wow.
Yeah.
We can't even imagine w- what that would do to you and to experience that. Uh, how about so now you've escaped, you're free, you're headed home. How long did that journey take you?
Our journey probably about 3 weeks or so.
Okay,
Walking. We keep
you
walking
walked the
all
whole
the
way.
time. Yes. Yeah.
Wow. So when you were able to finally make it home, that had to be emotions everywhere, overwhelming, grateful, excited, probably lots of tears because your family had to be worried, sick about you.
Yes. Yes. What I realized that the whole country had been liberated 4 months before I get out. The
Wow.
camp that kept me captive, they keep us with them for 4 extra months unnecessarily. But if I did not escape, I would probably still with them, or
Right.
or die. I
Right.
I don't know what happened, but found out that the whole country was liberated, and my dad went everywhere with his bicycle. He went everywhere and asked people, have you seen my daughter? Have you
Oh,
seen my daughter? Have
I
you
can't.
seen my daughter?
As a dad, I can't even imagine what he must have went through those 4 years, wondering and looking for you. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
So, Sarah, let me know what do you think our listeners can lessons we can get from your story, from your book? What do you think we can learn from that?
I believe the biggest core value for me is that the love for my family. I have love, and also I have faith. I trust and I believe that something better going to happen. I believe I have faith in God. That's, Um, so the love and the faith, that's the number one. And also hope. So when we are going through hard time, we should not give up hope. Because my situation, it seemed like impossible to survive the situation. But it is possible. I'm here to prove that, 2 million people did not make it through, but somebody made it through. I
Hmm.
did. I did. So we should not give up any any situation that we are struggle with. We, we just keep fighting and keep trusting that the Lord is almighty, and he is able to do whatever we we trust and he will do. So
How did you grow your faith? I'm kind of intrigued with, you know, you're in this concentration camp, whatever, what you would, detention camp, whatever you would call it. You're working every day. You're basically a slave to them, and it has to feel hopeless for most people. How does your faith grow and have trust in the midst of that turmoil?
for me, I imagine a better future for me. I imagine that this situation will end. It had to end. So, so I have a strange belief. This had to end sometime. So
Right.
that just give me hope. It is, something you don't give in. I don't give in that they will take control of my life. There is no way that I will be able to get out. No, I did not think that way. And I think something is going to change, and I will have a chance to find my family. So
And I like it.
you, yeah, we have to have a positive or optimistic perspective on our life.
And I believe faith is a choice. It's a choice for us to take. And we have to be willing to be vulnerable to God. And in like your situation, you had no other choice. You had the only freedom and choice that you had was with inside your mind to be able to trust in God. Everything else was controlled around you. And it would be very easy, in our world today here, we are easily tortured from things like divorce, depression, addiction, things like this, and we feel overwhelmed. But when I look at your story and try to compare it to this, there's no comparisons in that, other than we each have our own journey that we have to take. And what I take from your experience is if you can battle through that, if you can walk that walk and that journey for 4 years, hungry, scared, never knowing if you're going to live, if you'll have tomorrow to live, but you can still pray to God and say, God, I give this to you. I need you. How tremendous that is for me to hear, because sometimes I could catastrophize life around me. Nobody has it worse than me, right? My oh woe is me. But then I hear your story, and my troubles are not really troubles. My what I have is, if you can have that faith, that encourages me that God has that this is small compared to what you have. Me and my wife are going through something right now. We were in a terrible wreck, and we're going through litigation right now and things like that. It almost killed us. And there's sometimes in this we're like so overwhelmed and depressed through this process. But I have hope when I listen to you. What we're going through is minute to God. He can take care of every little thing in our life. So for our listeners out there that are going through life that are overwhelmed by the struggles that you're facing, truth is our struggles don't even match up to the struggles people have had in other lives, such as you. And what when did this take place? Was this in the 70s that this took place?
Yes, 1975 to 79.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 years.
Wow.
Yes.
So now we jump forward to 2022. And what have you been able to do with your experience from there? How have you been able to change that over, turn it around to where you can glorify God even more through what He did?
Um, I focus on the goodness of God, on the blessing. I'm
Yep.
just look for something good come out from this. Something that beautiful that I cannot forget is this. God was with me. I truly believe that He was with me. He guide me, He direct my step. Now to get lost in the jungle. Now to step on the landmine when I cross the border to escape from Cambodia. I
Right.
I did another escape. Is get out from Cambodia, cross over, because the country was pretty much destroyed, and my mom feel like, I need to get out so that we can find something that we can hold on to have a better future. So that's what I did. So during this journey, I feel like God was with me. Now that I look back, so I every time, every occasion that I have an opportunity to share my testimony, I do it because why not? Why don't we do it?
Right.
Because I truly believe that. And now I'm right. I wrote my book 7 years ago to share how my life had been, and I put God in there because He need to be, He need to be in my story. And now I speak and I share on podcasts, and I'm not fearful to talk about God because I'm now able to do it for myself on a certain situation. You
Hmm.
know, we all have a limit to ourselves,
Yes.
but we need to tap into God's power, like you said, you know, because
Correct.
yeah, if we have God with us, what should we be afraid of?
Right. And it's a journey. I think of it. You like you just said a minute ago. You said something that it caught my attention. It wasn't just escaping from the concentration camp. You had a journey. What you said you were about 300 miles from home. So that's a long journey. And I didn't even think about that. There were landmines, there was traps all the way along. Then you see your country that has been destroyed. You know, the psychological part that had to be in you as you took that journey, it it had to be a test to you to keep fighting going because there had to be so many times in your journey while you're at the camp and moving forward that you felt like on your own you didn't have that strength to to make it. And it's great to watch. It's in the relationships of the others that risk their life to go with you, to take that journey with you. I think that's important. But
Yeah,
then to have God and realize that God is guiding each step because there was landmines, there was things, there was danger on your journey, just as dangerous as what was at the camp. if not maybe in some situations more. And you did not know that it had been over for 4 months. You had no clue what you were going to face around the next turn in the road. So, what a great testimony, and it gives me a lot of hope too in my life, and I hope for my listeners. Since I started doing this podcast, Sarah, I have seen so many people who have so much hurt, so much pain. The enemy likes to paralyze us
Yeah,
and keep us from moving forward, thinking that we can't do it. And the truth is, we can't do it. We can't do this on our own. But with God, there's no mountain big enough
right.
that can keep us from our journey with Him. And God, that what such hope! I appreciate and thank you for coming today. Where can we get your book at, Sarah?
My book is available on my website. If you go to saraim.com, just my first name and last name,
Okay.
saraim.com/book, you will find the book right away.
I
Yeah.
will put all that in our description, and I would encourage my listeners go to her website. You have a lot of things. It's very inspirational, actually. And so I would like to encourage my listeners, go check this out. Her webpage will be in the link in the description. I encourage you to go look at it. You have other books that I saw on there, things that will help motivate us and grow. So I'm all about being intentional in my life. And I'm Sarah, before I turned 50, I could tell you how many books I read on one hand. Now that
Oh,
I'm 56, I don't know how many books I've read. How important stories like yours are to read, because we can draw strength from that, and I can learn from your experience that will help me grow my faith in God because of what your willingness not to only uh, serve God, but be willing to share this vulnerable story with us. Because I'm sure this drudges up things, and that there's been some time in this journey that you've had some triggers that have taken you back to some moments there. So I thank you for being brave again in today's world by sharing all this with us. So thank you so much, Sarah, for coming on our show today.
thank you for having me, and I look forward to answer any question that your audience might have. They can go to my website. There's a, you know, they can connect with me through the website. So, yeah,
I-
it's
I'm going to read your book, and Sarah, I'm going to encourage some of my listeners to, and maybe we'll have you back after I read that as well to
sure.
discuss it a little bit further with you
Yeah,
as well. Okay.
yes, I will be happy to.
All right. Well, thank you, Sarah, again for being on here. And to my listeners, until next time, just keep being intentional. Thank you for watching.